Hello everybody, I believe we are live. Welcome to Montezuma. It is at the moment sunny, but on my way here I actually drove through a real snow shower. There was enough snow falling that I had limited visibility, but it's a very windy day today, and it's cold. It's 35 degrees, very windy. A couple times when setting up here, hold on one second. I saw a huge flock of geese, Canada geese, in the air, and I went to do my best to kind of record them, and just opening my driver door here, it was really being pushed by the wind. It's very windy, and I wonder if maybe I would have been better off coming up here tomorrow, but this works better for me. And I don't know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow anyway, but when looking at the forecast, it seemed like there had been less of a mention for wind. There was some wind, but not like today, where the gusts could be up to, I think I saw up to 40 miles an hour. So we'll see how things go. I don't know. But I'm glad to be here. And in addition to I wouldn't be surprised if I saw even 1,000 Canada geese. I did see, I believe, 8 swans. I couldn't tell if they were trumpeter swans, there's a crow, or tundra swans, but they were white. I don't believe they were, I highly doubt they were mute swans. The other thing I did see, I've seen a few gulls. I've seen a number, I don't know how many, of American goldfinches. Did I say the eagle? I saw a bald eagle. I've seen a lot of ducks flying around. I didn't identify them, to be honest with you. And did I see anything else? I saw a couple pigeons. That's just about it. So anyway, as I said, it's a windy day today, sometimes I wonder if I should use the word breezy or if I should use the word windy. Today's windy. Oh, I just saw somebody. Hold on one second. I just saw a red-bellied woodpecker. Red-bellied woodpecker, and oh, someone else just came up there. Who else was that? Hold on. Maybe it was a second one. I don't know who's who now, and I don't see this. I don't know. But I maybe 2, but I'm not sure. I saw another bird fly up there roughly the same size, so it may have been a second red-bellied woodpecker. So today's going to be a challenge because of the wind. But we'll see how things go. Now, if you have signed up for a MeWe account and have joined the group, the MeWe group for the tour, you should have hopefully received a notification that we would have the tour starting at roughly 11:30 today, and it's roughly 11:30 now, and we're underway. I also did post, and I don't know if anyone gets them or not, I did post, create an event on YouTube, but I don't know if those notifications go out, and I'm just doing that temporarily. I think eventually I'm going to stop doing that just because it's a hassle to set one up, to be honest with you. And I do it just for notification purposes. obviously it's November, and oh, I see a near here. There's a lot of vegetation, but I can make out through the vegetation there's a male northern shoveler. Oh, and 1, 2, 3, 4 mallards. But again, we've got grasses here that are too tall, surprise, and they're blocking the view, so. If you've been on the tour before, you may realize that sometimes wind like this is good, sometimes. And I say that because it can, I see in the distance a number of ducks here and there flying around. It can't, and I see a lot of ducks in another area, it can apparently encourage larger birds of prey into the air. I'm sure if it's too windy or if the wind isn't just right, maybe it discourages them, but sometimes wind like this, the larger birds may make use of it, and I don't know if they enjoy it, but I mean they'll fly around with little effort on their part, relatively little effort, and use it to glide and move about, and it can be a beautiful thing to watch. So you never know, this wind could work to our advantage a little bit, depending on how it is, and maybe strong gusts aren't, you never know. I mean, maybe they won't use it. Hold on, I see a couple ducks. I see some gadwalls. It looks like 4 gadwalls. I'll show you through the window here. And as we always do, we'll make the best of the situation, and hopefully we'll see some interesting things, some good things. Hopefully I didn't make a terrible choice in coming up here today as opposed to maybe tomorrow. I admit I was at home I think I was in the middle of breakfast, and oh, here's a pied-billed grebe. And I was looking at the forecast, and I was like, oh, maybe Sunday would be better, but I decided to come up here today anyway. It just works better for me. Looks like another grebe, kind of hunkered down. Let me just have a look at it with binoculars. 1 second. I knew it was a grebe. I just wanted to see what it was doing. I am not an expert on gulls, but this gull's been flying around a bit, landing on the drive occasionally. Over here, I just saw another shoveler, and I see a Canada goose or 2 over here. Just 1, I think. I wonder what it's doing. I hope it's okay. I hope that wing isn't in trouble. Now it could be partly the wind, and maybe it doesn't have things put back in place, but I hope it's okay. So anyway, over here, it looks like we have at least one, I don't know if they're all northern shovelers. I'm having a hard time seeing them. Looks like at least 3 of them are northern shovelers. and maybe all of them are. A little further away. And now I'm having a hard time seeing. I may have to lower the window. Look like gadwalls. And I think I just saw just about, oh, there may be somebody else over here. And I am concerned about this Canada goose with the wing like that. Like I said, I hope it's okay. Now it's by itself too, which, you know, has me wondering. Stop the car here for a moment. See if we can, you know, and like there are some ducks flying around out there. I just saw, oh. Closer to home, we have, that's a gadwall there. They really are beautiful ducks. And from what I can tell, these look like gadwalls also. You never know. I mean, these conditions may have us moving right along. We may not see much, and who knows, maybe I'll be on my way back to Ithaca in record time. That's a possibility. And, you know, I'll remind you all, and I probably should have been here even earlier, but I'll remind you all that, you know, with daylight savings time over, we have less time than usual, and I have to very much be aware of the time. I can't tell who these guys are. Let's see if we can tell a little bit. I think they're gadwalls. I can even feel a little bit the wind pushing on the car. Let's keep going. I do see some Canada geese over here, I believe. And I don't know if that other Canada goose that we looked at that might possibly be injured. Not that other Canada geese will help it in any way necessarily, but if it needs help. Like it's not like they could perform surgery if necessary, but might be protection or whatever, who knows. So I see in the distance there are ducks, a fair number of ducks flying around. The grass is making and I thought I saw that closer. closer to us, there are some American coots over here. These are American coots. Again, they're not ducks. That's a gadwall behind them there. And those are American widgeons. Oh, and a bufflehead or two. Smaller ducks are not bufflehead. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. Ruddy duck. Whew, sorry. And more distantly, there are some other ducks, and I can't see them with this camera very well. You know, maybe we should pause here for a bit and look with the other camera at some of the ducks that are in the ducks and other birds. You can see, unsurprisingly, American widgeons right along with the American coots. You often see them together. So no surprise at all to see these two species together, because it seems like the American widgeons take advantage of some of the vegetation that the coots will stir up for them. So I don't know if the coots get anything out of it. And well in the distance, so we've got other birds well in the distance, like some of those white, they look whitish with reddish heads, so I would have to guess those are canvasbacks, but we should probably have a closer look. So let's give that a try. You know, things are going to be a struggle here today, I think, in many ways. So let me, give me a moment if you would. We're just going to have a quick look. We're not going to be searching as closely as we have the last couple weeks. I don't even know if the tufted duck is still around, for instance. Come on, wind, cut it out. Okay. We're just going to have a quick look, I think. So way out there we have, you know, a lot of the same. But look, we also have, I'll lighten it up a little bit. We have redheads and canvasbacks and don't do that. Come on. Right there we have a ringneck duck, or two, actually a couple of them. But the ones with the white bodies and the reddish heads, those are canvasbacks. Farther back, looks like we have, those are, see this, like the white point? That is an indicator that those are, in fact, ringneck ducks, as opposed to scoffs. Scoffs don't have that like pointed area of white. At least that's my understanding. It can be difficult to tell the difference between them if you don't have, you know, good looks sometimes. So we're looking at extreme range here, so it's not easy for me to see anything. Duck there, a female, looks like it. The wind is very cold, let's say this. The redhead there in the middle of the screen. There's a male ruddy duck there with a white cheek. A couple of them now. didn't show you any mallards earlier, but I've seen mallards. I might have seen a scaup or two. That might be a scaup right there. I don't know if it's a greater or a lesser, to be honest with you. It looks almost like a greater. Canvasbacks, redheads. I've seen American coots. I'm sorry, American widgeons. Coots are not ducks. We've seen gadwalls. So we've seen a decent variety of ducks so far. The ruddy ducks also. Out over here, I think, kind of. Ringneck ducks I mentioned, I believe. See, that is a ringneck duck right there at center screen. Was at center screen, and there's like a white pointed area just on the body, but a little bit behind the head, and that indicates it is a ringneck duck. You don't see that kind of a point with a scaup. So if you can't see the bill, for instance, which is, for me a good indicator, that might help you. So let's just look in some of this area here, and then we're going to move right on. These are closer. These are all American coots and American widgeons. Oh, and that's a gadwall there, so it's not just American coots and widgeons. Oh, and that's a pied-billed grebe right there, which is also not a duck, but cute. Anyway, so let me just have a look with binoculars and see if there's anything else I think we should look at. Oh, did I see something? Oh, I did see a bufflehead. Don't know if I'll find it, and I'll have a hard time finding it, I think, but let me see if I can find it. The problem with buffleheads is that they do a lot of diving, and it can be difficult to get a look at them sometimes. There. Oh! I think. Is that it? There. That, I believe, was a bufflehead. Let's see if we can see it again. A male bufflehead. Sometimes in the past we've seen, fair numbers of them at one time, but usually, there it is. Okay, we're gonna, I think we're gonna get moving. Let me just look around one more time. Should look farther back. There's more that at least I hadn't noticed before, or maybe I have. I don't know. a lot back there. I mean, there are canvasbacks and redheads. Looking with binoculars, a fair amount of white, and that's the canvasback bodies that I was seeing, I believe. See that right there at roughly center screen? That was a scup that just popped its head up as it, like, you know, flapped its wings, and didn't notice it didn't have like the white pointed area on its body. There, roughly center screen, I think that is, it's hard to tell with the grasses too. My hands are getting cold. And it's freezing my fingers. Okay. I think we're going to move on. Switch cameras. Difficult to wear gloves and operate cameras sometimes, so that's why I prefer not to, unless I have to. What I should do is, at least every once in a while, stop to just look at some of the waterfowl that are closer to us, just to see if there's anything we should be looking at, anything out of the ordinary. November weather is interesting, as you know, I've discussed in the past. We can go anywhere from beautiful sunny days to snowy days, so you never know what can happen. I'll say from now I have tentative plans to have an abbreviated broadcast or tour on Thanksgiving Day, just so you know. If anyone wants to join me. That's the plan right now. It's tentative, you know, who knows, something could come up and maybe make it impossible for me, but it's something I like to do. I like to be out and be thankful for the birds on Thanksgiving Day, and I've been doing that for a number of years now. Even before the tour started. Generally, I don't come all the way here on Thanksgiving Day. I did that once, and it took so much time to do that, and I have things on my scheduled for the rest of the day on Thanksgiving Day that I didn't have time to really go to Ithaca that year. So I generally don't come up here all the way to Montezuma. I'll stick to Ithaca. I did, I think I've only been up here once on Thanksgiving. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do know I made a special trip up here once just to see sandhill cranes. And luckily they were there. I went to East Road that year. I think I remember that year I came all the way up here. I did Wildlife Drive, and really there was like nothing to see. Now maybe I was impatient. I don't know, but nothing to see. There are some ruddy ducks not too far from us, but not very close. I'm not going to stop to look at them. If the conditions were better, if it weren't so windy and they were just hanging out there and we could get a good look, I would do it. Ruddy ducks, like buffleheads and like some of the other ducks that dive a lot, I mean, they can be difficult because they do that diving. And if they're not feeding, if they're just relaxing, it's obviously a lot easier. But right now, even the water, because of the wind, is moving a fair amount, and just makes it so that it's difficult to get a really good look. I will say this: I'm already thinking about next week and hoping that the weather is better. But please, don't misunderstand me. I'm not really complaining, but always want better conditions, for instance. I'm not complaining at all. Maybe I'm complaining, but I'm not, oh, woe is me. That's what In the meantime, the heat blowing directly on my hands feels very good. As I drove here, in certain areas I could see Cayuga Lake, and I'll say this: the lake itself did not look like the wind was really a problem. It looked like it was actually, at least from the distance, fairly calm. Sometimes some windy. Hold on one second. I see a bald eagle, adult. The one I had seen earlier was a juvenile, but. guessing they're swans, but we're going to have a look. Okay, let me move forward just a little bit. Okay, and we're going to have a look. Because we need to know what that is. Or I should say, who they are. We might not be able to figure out if they are swans, what kind of swans they are, but at least we'll know if they're swans. That wind is Canada geese are helpful there. Clearly, they're smaller than the white birds, and that helps to show that they look like swans. I don't know if there are any snow geese there too. There might be some snow geese there as well. I'm not sure. But everyone, in the direction that they are. Swans, I believe, just by their size. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just, sometimes over distances, things can be deceiving. Okay, let's get things back in the car. I'm sorry about this. The wind can be disruptive, I know. Maybe tomorrow would have been a better day to come up here. Weather-wise, anyway. But like I said, not necessarily for me in terms of my schedule. I see a gull up on the road ahead, I think. Yes, a gull. And, oh, to the right in the channel is a... Never mind, it's nothing. I think I saw that same nothing last week. It's like a mound of dirt or something, and quite honestly in a surprising spot. Some ducks just flew out of nowhere. They look like, I'm not sure what, they're flying away from us. To watch for the gull that's up ahead on the road. And, oh, do I see... What is that? I think it's another eagle in the air. Some ducks nearby. They are, I don't know what they are yet. There's an American coot. We have some American widgeons and some gadwalls. Okay, looks like the usual suspects. I do wonder about this gull that's on the ground here. Oops. Hi, Bridgie. Hopefully everything is okay. I hope everything is okay. It's just hanging out there. I say I hope everything is okay, and you know, it just so often, you know, it's come out here, there's always a possibility you'll see something that's upsetting. On my way here, I may have seen a red-tailed hawk dead on the road. I'm not sure what it was. I drove by quickly, but like I said, always upsetting to see a few more American widgeons here. It's always the risk you take when you come out and you look for birds. There's potential for to see a lot of beauty, a lot of interesting and amazing things, but there's always a chance you'll see something that you really are upset about. Just you do it and you come out here and you just hope that you're lucky enough not to see anything upsetting, and that you'll see, what you're, the good stuff, what you're out here to see. Northern Harrier. It's the first one I've seen here today. Good to see. I love them. I've seen most of the Northern Harriers I've seen, appear in the various places we visit here in Montezuma. Once, I believe we saw a Northern Harrier while at Sapsucker. Was just doing a flyby. I I don't know if we've seen any, like, at the pheasant farm or anything. I don't believe we have. You know, anywhere around there. Wouldn't necessarily expect to see them around there, actually. And I have seen one near my home on one occasion. Okay, there are some birds here in this open area of water ahead, and a number of cars looked like they had stopped, but maybe they're moving on. So let's see if there's anything of interest ourselves. Hard to see those guys, but they look like, I think they're gadwalls. Looks like more gadwalls. Northern shovelers back there. Look in the window. Two birds. Canada geese, shovel. Oh, look, that's a mallard there. A couple mallards. Two mallards. Gadwalls. Some gulls there too. We're going to move right along. Are we going to see anyone from the heron family today? No idea. But given how late it is in the season and how things are, there's a good chance we won't. Who are these guys? Are they Canada geese? Look like it. Okay. We may be done seeing herons for the year. I don't know that for a fact, but I mean, there's a good chance that we are. You have to pay attention to everything, and I saw the shadows of these Canada geese on the road before I saw the geese themselves. That's what got me to look. So sometimes when you're out and about, you know, pay attention to everything. You know, some things you might ignore normally, you know, or kind of dismiss it. I mean, every sound, every sight, everything, you never know what you'll see, so you have to be alert. That's not to say that I'm always alert and that I catch everything, but, you know, I try when we're out here to look for anything and everything that we can possibly witness in one way or another. Who knows what we would have seen if it weren't windy like this. I mean, maybe, I'm sure things would be different, and just in terms of where the birds are and everything. Never know, but... fair number of ducks in the air. Up there, I don't know if you can see them as we move along here. We're definitely at a different point in the migration season. I would say. I mean, we're not seeing, for instance, we're not seeing shorebirds around. And if you sign up for eBird alerts, as I have finally done, you know, you might be receiving alerts about various shorebirds that are seen, because for this time of year they're considered a rarity, or, you know, kind of a rarity. Looking at a northern harrier right now. There it is. Where'd it go? Can't see that well, partly because of the sun. Okay. I wanted to look at some ducks that I see in the open channel back there. They look like wood ducks. They are wood ducks over here. Can't see them well. Let me have another look at them. Binoculars. Yeah, definitely wood ducks. Like maybe about 5 or 6 of them. Glad we looked. They are the first wood ducks we've seen today. Let's close that window. Now here to our right we have this pool that we often stop to look at whatever birds are here. Right now I see no birds. I see a single bird on it. Maybe things would have been different if it weren't windy, you know, for whatever reason. Oh, I do see some Canada geese though, do I? Yes. So I do see birds now, and they're actually in the grasses, or I should say the grassier area, relative to what we can see in terms of water behind it, or over here. Quite a few of them. But I don't at this time see anybody else. I need to look at a couple things with binoculars. One moment. Okay, that's nothing. To our left I see a couple mallards. I'll say this, you know, in considering, you know, whether I should come up here today or tomorrow. I see a couple ducks. Hold on a second. I think they're gadwalls. And I see a pied-billed grebe. You know, I realize that the wind could be a problem, and but I also thought, you know, maybe today's the day that you see something really fantastic and interesting by coming up, and maybe that wind is actually helps to produce that sighting. So it's one of the reasons why I decided to come up here anyway, besides my own schedule and everything. couldn't be believed. My thermometer is still reading 35 degrees. I don't know what the wind chill is, but I know that the wind felt pretty cold on my hands. See a couple ducks up ahead one second. Might be widgets. A few more Canada geese, 4 are coming our way, flying right over us. Now, as I said, things have moved along in terms of migration, and we're no longer seeing, as I've said, shorebirds, or at least not any kind of significant numbers. We might occasionally see one here or there if we're lucky. But other birds start to show up, maybe, hopefully, if we're lucky. Everything is always if we're lucky. We might see, hopefully, I hope to see rough-legged hawks, for instance. Those are a favorite of mine. And it would be great to see one and see it well. May seem early, but it's almost 12:25. And I'm going to, I'm hoping to head back to Ithaca earlier than I have in prior weeks, just because of daylight savings time, and the end of it, I should say. And if we want to have any time, significant amount of time spent looking for birds in Ithaca, we have to do that. Looks like I'm seeing some gadwalls out here, and not that many of them, so I think we're just going to continue on. A lot of wind. Second. Just give you a quick look at things. I have to admit I'm having a hard time from here without binoculars telling what these are. we're... Let me have a look with binoculars, 1 second. I think we're looking at gadwalls again. And closer, now we've got vegetation in the way. They're just about all gadwalls. We do have an American widgeon in there with them, or two. Seven. Ooh. I do see an eagle in the air in the distance. I see another mallard here, but it's mostly gadwalls. But from the looks of it, it's hard to see because of the way the lighting is. For someone like me, who is no expert on bird ID, you know, sometimes the tougher conditions really can make things difficult for me to identify bird species. You know, and that's why, if you can, you should try to learn as many characteristics of a given species as you can, so that, you know, sometimes the lighting might prevent you from, let's say, seeing the colors. So, I mean, if you're looking only for colors, you may not, you know, you may be out of luck. But if you can also recognize the shape of a given species, you know, so you can identify even a silhouette, can be very helpful. So, in the back there, it looks like we've got a fair number of Canada geese. I know some people at the lab were, at one point, I don't know if they're still looking for it, this was a few years ago, they're hoping for photos, I think photos specifically, and rather than video, of ducks that, you know, just their behinds, their rear quarters, because sometimes that's all you can see for whatever reason. Either they're diving, or, you know, maybe they're looking the other way. And if you know what you're looking at in a duck's rear end, you know, you might be able to identify it, you know, because that duck, for instance, may go for an extended period of time without turning around, and, you know, maybe you can't change your angle, your point of view, and you're stuck with that one view. Sometimes it's nice to know, you know, from all angles what a given species looks like. One thing nice about the All About Birds site is that, you know, you could have a given species, and, you know, they usually provide species that are similar. Sometimes I wonder, you know, about some of those choices. Some don't seem similar, but you know what? If you have a bad visibility situation because of distance or lighting or whatever, you know, some species that are not at all related, really not very similar at all, can all of a sudden seem similar. So anyway, but they usually have, for each species, other species that are, you know, similar, and they provide a description as to how the species are different, and that can be very helpful sometimes. I like the All About Birds site because it's it's friendly enough, and it's relatively easy to use, and almost conversational in the way they talk about birds. So that can be very welcoming to anyone, not just people who are regular bird watchers, but just even the casual bird watcher, or the a person who's looking up a bird for the first time. Let's see, is that a starling? I'm not gonna be able to get it. What do we have here? Look like some ducks. Let me just have a look with binoculars. Look like more gadwalls right here. And is there anybody back there? Doesn't look like it. Who is that? Is that a shoveler? Might be a shoveler. So not exactly our most exciting visit to Wildlife Drive. And we're almost done with it. But you know what? I'll take it. Still enjoyed seeing some of the things that I've seen here. Despite the challenging conditions. There are a few flurries in the air, snow flurries. Looks like a nest of some sort. Well, we're not even looking at this time of year. We wouldn't be able to see it the rest of the year. I see you. Hi, Heron. We've got a car right behind us. Quite honestly, it's the Honda that's been getting in our way repeatedly. But we just saw a great blue heron. Hi, heron. Good luck. Okay, that looks like it's it for Wildlife Drive. On to other places. Good to see a great blue heron, although I want it to move along. Shoot, I should have stopped to give you a look at the rookery again. Keep forgetting. Not that there's any activity there, but just to show you how many nests there are. You know, without the vegetation there, it's actually an interesting sight. Looks like there are a few birds, likely ducks, out on the Maze Point pool. We're going to continue on straight ahead. I may lose you because of, you know, a poor connection, just so you know. You know, I think we're actually going to go to that same spot we went to on Armitage Road. We'll take, and then we'll come back in Ithaca. Now, I don't know, given the conditions, I don't believe it's going to be quite as windy in Ithaca. At least that was the forecast I saw this morning. But I may still, I don't know if I'm going to wait around for geese to come in. Yeah, sapsucker. I just don't know yet. It was nice to see them last week. I mean, I remember I was just about to say maybe they're not coming, then all of a sudden they just all came in almost all at once. Well, not all at once, but the bulk of them did. Look look at things here. Hopefully you're still with me. Hey baby. Looks reddish, but I believe that's a red-tailed hawk there. I realize our connection was poor here last week, so I just want to take a quick look through, and maybe we'll turn right around unless something really strikes me as interesting. Just have a quick glance at something with binoculars. Shovelers and mallards. I see it. Is that a crow? I don't know. As I said last week, I'm not sure. I'm not blind. Hopefully we've reconnected.